Good evening, everyone, and welcome. First Energy Stadium, the site out on Tompkins Plaza. It is our pregame show. A little bit of a delay, rain delay, but first pitch coming your way very shortly. But first up, our pregame show alongside Jake Starr. My name is Bob McCool, and the man in the middle of the two of us is the Reading Phillies hitting coach, Tyler Henson. Tyler, this is your officially third season as the hitting coach, not counting the COVID season, but you also played here as well, coming through the system for the Phillies in 2013. So all in all, the city of Reading's kind of become like a second home for Tyler Henson.
Yeah, it definitely has. My family enjoys coming here. We enjoy the fans. We enjoy the atmosphere. It's been fun to work here. The front office has been great. Couldn't ask for a better place.
So when you think about where you are and with this system, the curiosity for me is in terms of your approach as a hitting instructor. And when you look at the entire organization from top to bottom, is it something that the idea is that you want to teach the same approach at each level? Or is it that as the players move up through each level, they're getting a different kind of instruction based on who that hitting instructor is?
Yeah, I think it depends on levels. I think it depends on the player himself, what he does well, what he doesn't do well. Our goal is day and day to get guys better. Work on the things that they do well, plus get them better at the things that they struggle with. Each coach at each level may have a different way of getting to that player to help them, and we take those approaches.
Coach, one of the strong points early in the season has been the production of the offense. The series started out with you guys getting lots of hits. Last night, 11 hits once again. One of those hot players has been Carlos De La Cruz amongst a whole list of guys that we could go on and on about. What have you seen from De La Cruz in the spring and so far here when the season started that you've really liked?
Well, he's been pretty consistent with everything. All of his work's been good. He's got a solid routine that he goes with every day. To be honest, I don't think De La's where he needs to be yet. Obviously, the numbers show production, but he's got the ability to drive the ball a lot better at a more consistent pace. And I think that's going to come when the weather. Obviously, we got some good weather here this week, but when the weather starts to heat up and these guys get some more at-bats under their belt, I think we'll really see what Carlos can really do.
What's the next step in the development for De La Cruz?
Consistency. All these guys that are here, it's just about putting together consistent at-bats, quality at-bats every night, and obviously producing. But when they can put together consistent at-bats, the numbers will show up throughout the year.
Tyler, I'm just curious. I mean, one of the guy in Philadelphia who's obviously their hitting instructor is Kevin Long, and a lot of players have really kind of fallen into his discipleship in terms of what he does. And obviously you had a chance, I'm sure, in spring training to see what he does, work with him a little bit. What have you learned from Kevin Long, and what have you adopted into the way he teaches to what you teach?
Well, we both were kind of lower half driven hitting coaches, preach a lot about the lower half, but one thing that I watch him, how he interacts with each player, the relationships that he builds, the pride that he takes each day into getting each guy better and getting them prepared for the game. Guys love that. I mean, he shows that he cares, and that's really all what players want. I mean, if you show them that you're there for them and that you're there to help them get the best out of them, then they'll play their best.
When you look at this team and the identity you want this offense to create, what's the message to the group in terms of that identity?
Consistency again. Like, if we can be consistent 1 through 9 with our at-bats and grind out at every at-bat, we're gonna be in every ball game, and which we've been in pretty much every ball game this year. I've been proud of the guys. It's a good group of guys. They all root for each other. They all pull for each other, but they all challenge each other at the same time. Any type of machine work or BP or anything, there's some type of little competition going on between each guy, and I think that's what drives each guy over the course of the season.
I watched the guys around the hitting cage, and they all seem to really have some fun with it. To your point, and one of the guys who seems to have a whole lot of fun no matter what he's doing is Johan Rojas. I know he's a guy that you're working even more closely with because Johan Rojas probably right now could play baseball at the major league level as a center fielder. It's a matter of how he progresses as a hitter that's going to be the difference maker for Johan Rojas. How do you see him progressing as a hitter?
From last year to now, I think it's just it's day and night. Obviously, production-wise isn't where it needs to be, but the consistency of the work, the consistency with his day-to-day routines are spot on right now. And like Della, like he's going to take off eventually. Once he starts putting together quality at bat after quality at bat, I think it's going to be hard for him not to keep him out of Philly this year.
A guy like Baron Radcliffe, what can you say about his production so far early in the year?
I've been very pleased. It's one guy that I have never had in the system. And one thing that I told him, I just want to see him play. Like, go play, be yourself, be detailed in all your routine work. And the biggest thing for me is get him swing the bat early in counts, get good pitches to hit, and get your swing off, because he's got the ability to hit 30 home runs each and every year. And right now I think that he's showing little glimpses of what he can do.
You're watching the pregame show on Tompkins Vis Plaza at Philadelphia Fighting Phillies and the Hartford Yard Goats going after one another in Game 5 of the series. We're a few minutes away. A little bit of rain delay, but it looks like we'll have some clear skies, at least get the game started. We're talking with Phil's hitting instructor, Tyler Henson. Tyler, that new object that's now here at First Energy Stadium, the Redners Event Center, has become a bit of a target practice for some of your hitters. And you mentioned Baron Radcliffe as one of the guys who kind of licks his chops every time he gets in the box. What would Tyler Henson do with that big box to shoot for out in right center field?
Stay away from it. I'd go for the shorter porch and left. But these guys are, I mean, the new building is outstanding. It's beautiful. I think when it's all done, it's going to really pull this ballpark together even more. I think it obviously helps the ball fly a little bit here, a little better too. I'm starting to see that. But man, it's still Reading, but it's got a good uplift.
The last one really for me is just about this overall group. One thing Al Padrique told us a couple of nights ago was this is a group full of fighters, guys who are going to fight night in and night out. And despite the slower start, that's what you've seen from this group. Every night they're in it until the very last out. Is that a testament to these guys? What have you seen from them that's caused that ability to fight for them so well?
I just think it's the type of people that we have in the clubhouse, the players. When you pull for one another, we all want to get to the big leagues as individuals and all that, but when you start to play as a team, like they're playing as a team right now, and the results just haven't happened, but they pull for one another, they root for each other, and that's all you can ask for as a staff member like myself is. And when that starts all happening, good things start to happen, wins start to come a little bit more often. It's a solid group, and it's fun to be around.
To your point, when you look at the individual numbers, these guys have hit and they've put up pretty good hitting numbers each and every night. The number that jumps out at you is men left on base, and it's 38 men left on base so far in this series. Not really anything you can do about it. It's not like it's a failure in any way, other than just getting some timely hits in some key situations. And that's really right now the difference between this team hitting well and just hitting off the charts.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with it, and that's one of the biggest things that I talk about with my guys is about hitting with guys on base. It's one of the hardest things to do as a hitter. Some guys just have a natural knack for it, like Alec Boehm in the big leagues. Like, if I had to pick one guy to hit with guys on base, he's the one. And there's a few guys on this team that have stepped up and got big hits when we needed them, but we need a few more here and there.
So that'll do it for our pregame show. Again, Tyler Henson, thank you for taking some time out with us. We know you got to get ready. We got a game to play. Fightin' Phils and the Hartford Yard Goats coming your way on the Reading Fightin' Phils Radio Network.